I moved to Vegas back in March of 2000, and I have a lot of mixed feelings about Las Vegas. It's a city that I don't really care for anymore because it's just not the same place that it was when I first moved here. But this is a place where I became an adult. This is a place where I've came to find out a little bit about who I was as a young man growing into an adult. This is a place where I met a few of my very close friends, and one of them was a girl. Her name was Sherry Mitchell, and I met her in the weirdest way. Oh my God. So back in the early 2000s, I was a security guard, right? I was a security guard, and I would just be sent to different properties in and around the area here in Las Vegas. And so, you get bored when you're doing that kind of work, and I would bring, newspapers or whatever to read. And we didn't really have the internet on cell phones at the time. I don't know about you guys, but back in like 2002 and 3, I still had a Go phone from AT&T. Remember those little prepaid cell phones that they're like really, really small, as small as my finger? It was like $50 a month. I mean, it was unlimited minutes, but those minutes didn't start until 9 p.m. And then you would have free nights after 9 p.m. and then the weekends were free as well. So every time I started, I couldn't wait till 9 p.m. it came, because then the minutes were free, and then you get to call the party line, right? The party line. You guys remember the party line? Tell me you don't remember the party line. You call a number, and there's like 12 other people on the same phone line, and everybody's talking crap about you. You look like this. You're stupid. You're fat. It's just horrible, horrible names. It was hilarious. Hey, what gang are you from? Yeah, well, F that gang. I'm going to come and beat you up. And you had all these kids, these social misfits, just on the phone, just talking, and eventually they would meet up and whatever you do when you meet up. And to pass the time, I would call the party line, and then I would just say, hey, this is Ralph, the security guard. That was my little moniker back in the day. And that's what I did. And I would meet people from time to time on those chat lines. I met a couple very, very good friends off the chat lines, and so Sherry was one of them. So Sherry had this voice, right? It was like, because she smoked, so she kind of sounded like Janis Joplin a little bit. She had that smoker's whiskey voice. She didn't drink that I really remember, if ever at all. But she smoked weed, and she loved smoking cigarettes. She smoked some cigarettes, boy, I tell you. And so when I first started talking to Sherry on the party line, her nickname was Playgirl, right? And she's like, hey, who's this? And I'm like, oh, this is Ralph, the security guard. And then this other guy's like, I'm gonna call you Critter, man. You don't sound like a security guard. You sound like a little critter. So they started calling me Critter on this party line. So if you were calling the Vegas party lines back in 2002 and 3 and 4, I'm Critter, if you guys were ever wondering. So we were talking and blah, blah, blah. So we decided to meet up, right? And everybody would make fun of Sherry, or Playgirl as she was known on the party line, because her voice, everyone was like, you're fat. You probably weigh 500 pounds. You're probably ugly. You're fat. You're fat. We all know you're fat. And she's met, people on there, and she is not fat, a very regular shaped girl. So we met up, and we just hung out at her house. She lived over off of Maryland Parkway in Sahara. Now, when I met her, her mom was in the room, and I remember her mother had a disease Uh, Maybe it would have started with an H, but it was a pretty bad disease. She couldn't speak, and it was almost similar to like what I would think Lou Gehrig's disease is. And so we met up, right? And we just hung out or whatever. She was cool as hell. And when we were talking, she said, she said, I bet you you and my homegirl would go like really good together because you both are cute. I know, she flattered me. Oh, so she said, she goes, you guys are both cute. She goes, you guys would make a good couple. She goes, why don't you go meet her? And I'm like, who's your homegirl? She said, her name's Jennifer. And I said, okay, I'll meet her. And that's another story for another channel. But so I met this girl, and her name was Jennifer. She would call the same chat line too. Her nickname was Callie. She was beautiful. I mean, had beautiful green eyes. She was just a beautiful girl. And I was a little surprised that she wanted, that she was gonna, want to go out with me. So we ended up dating for about only a couple months. She was my first girlfriend ever. And at that time, I think I just turned 23 or 24. So first official girlfriend. And I loved her very much. She had a great personality, funny, bubbly, vivacious, all those, boilerplate words that people often use. So, but one thing Jennifer loved to do in life, and that is smoke meth. I did not know at the time that she was a former drug user when I met her. And then later on she told me, she's like, yeah, I used to mess with it, but not anymore, blah, blah, blah. And then I remember one day, like I had a weird feeling, right? Because I don't know why. I suspected that she was like seeing other guys, whatever. And then so I told my friend, I said, hey, come with me to Jennifer's house. I just want to pop by there. So I pop by over there, and her garage is open, and I come walking up, and there's a dude just like sitting in a chair in the garage. He looks like if Justin Timberlake just got a job at a mechanic shop. He's all greasy or whatever, but he looked like Justin Timberlake. And I'm like, oh, okay, got a good looking guy right here, got a good looking girl over there. Okay, what's going on over here? So I'm like, hey, what's up? And she said, nothing. And she goes, here, I need to talk to you. And I said, okay, here we go. So she pulls me to the side. She said, listen, I ain't gonna lie to you. She goes, I relapsed. And I'm like, okay, relapsed. And she's like, yeah, I used meth last week. And I said, okay. So I kind of put one and one together. Okay, you're a meth head. You're with this guy who looks like a meth head. If meth head guy right there joined a boy band called NSYNC, I see what's going on over here. So, I wasn't mad because it's not like we were like a serious couple. So I said, okay, that's cool. And then I just turned around and I left. And boy, let me tell you, so I walked with my buddy and just go back home. And I remember I went to bed and I took like 6 Tylenol PMs. I just wanted to sleep. I was what I would call then depressed. So I just went to sleep or whatever. I was so bummed out, man. That was one of the most bummed out moments of my life. Young love, young stupid love. I was sad. Or so I thought. Was I sad? Yeah. So I called Sherry and I said, Jennifer dumped me. And she's like, what? She goes, man, that sucks. She goes like, I'm sorry that happened, dude. And I was like, Yeah, I know. I said, what are you doing? She goes, oh, she goes, why don't you come over? I was like, all right, cool. So I hopped on my scooter, went to her house. She was always home. She was a homebody. She didn't go out. I mean, she was a very, let me tell you something. Sherry was one of the most beautiful, kindest persons I've ever met in my life. And I will never forget that night. So I was so just downtrodden. Wasn't doing too good, kids. I wasn't doing too good. And so I went over to her house, and I just bummed out, you know. And she goes, you know, there's other girls, you know, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, there is. But, you know, I liked her or whatever. So we were talking until around maybe 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. And then and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to get going. I'm getting tired. She goes, why don't you sleep here? And I said, nah, she said, listen. She said, you don't need to be by yourself tonight. So she goes, you're going to sleep in my bed with me. And I know what some of you guys are thinking. I already know, guys. I know. I ain't stupid. I already know. So let me tell you what happened. So, you know, Sherry was, you know, she was a cute girl. She had a nice figure and all that good stuff. I wasn't nervous about anything like that happening because we weren't like that. We were just, that was like my road dog. I mean, I always regret like not hanging out with her more, but you know, she was like a pothead, and you know, she didn't like to go outside very much, you know what I mean? So, and I worked a lot and stuff, but we did hang out as often as we could, you know, but she just didn't really like going to many places. So that night I told her, I said, I could just crash on the floor because I'm getting nervous. You know, I said, I can just crash on the floor. She goes, no. She goes, you're gonna sleep in my bed with me. Hey, you ain't gotta twist my arm. And I was so tired, we just went to sleep, and you know, like we kind of spooned. Is that what they call it when you're kind of like holding each other? And we didn't have sex. It was nothing like that. It was just, you know, you got to understand, to sleep next to a woman, there's a feeling about it that, you know, a lot of guys, if you're listening to me, there's something, and I'm not talking about sex. I'm just talking about whether you have a wife or a girlfriend or a significant other. But there's nothing more comforting in certain situations than sleeping next to a woman. It's an indescribable feeling, and I felt that feeling. And she was the first woman that I've ever slept next to that there was like a love there. It wasn't just, you know, whatever. It was something different. It was like just something, it was just two friends. I don't know. It felt good. I'm not going to lie. I'll never forget that. So I fell asleep. We woke up the next day, and then we had breakfast or whatever. We walked to the store. And at that moment, Sherry became a very dear friend. Now, we didn't talk, you know, a lot on the phone. You know, she was one of those friends that, like, you know, you don't, she was odd because, you know, she, you know, because like she's like into the, you know, pot thing or whatever. But, she, you know, and I normally don't like potheads, but she was such a fantastic person. This girl, and I've seen her do it before, and it would get on my nerves how she would help people. Because she would help people that like, come on, dude, like, why are you messing with that person? She goes, they're cool. They're cool. Just, whatever. They're just down. And if she had $1 on her, and you needed it, she'd give it to you, or at least break it down to 4 quarters and split it 50 cents a piece. Now we both got 50 cents. She didn't care about money. She didn't care about materialistic things. I mean, she was kind of, sort of like, it was almost like she should have just been a hippie, like living in the commune, like, But of course, she had kids, and she had a little kid. His name was Jose. I think he was young. Oh, this kid. I know he's in the military now because her sister told me, but you could just tell this kid was like, how do you say with these kids, like, you could just tell he was like, I don't want to use the word tough, but like this kid, he's like he was kind of like yeah, what's up, something like that. And I later would learn that he joined the military. I think he's a Marine, I'm not sure, but. And then she had a daughter. Her name, I want to say her name is Melissa. I keep getting the words, the names Michelle and Melissa mixed up. I think her name was Melissa. And very sweet girl. And, she had, her kids were good. And I remember we lost touch because she wasn't really big on social media. And we lost touch, and then later on, I moved away or whatever, and I came back to Las Vegas, and I looked her up, and I said, and I remember I looked her up. I hadn't seen her in about 3 or 4 years, and I come into her apartment, and then there's like this little cute 2-year-old girl sitting on my lap. I'm like, who's this? She goes, that's my daughter. I said, oh, that's your daughter now? Her name was Riley. Very cute little girl. All her kids were cute, whatever. And, I rented a room from her, and I lived with her for like, I think about 2 or 3 months, until I decided like an idiot to go out to California and live that stupid life in California. So throughout the years, she has been not always in my life, but she's been a very, very special friend, a very integral part of my existence. And so as the years go on and I move in and out of Las Vegas or whatever, and we would lose touch. She just wasn't a social media person, and she would change the number, and I'm like, when is she gonna call me? My number was always the same, and she would call me on occasion with a new number. And I remember one of the last times I spoke to her and I talked to her. So she called me, I want to say it was 2017. And she called me, right? I was in Texas at the time. It could have been 2017, hell, it could have even been 2016, I don't know, something like that. And she said, hey, Lamont, where are you? And I said, I'm in Texas right now. And at that time, I was on my way to California. I had just got a job driving a truck for a carnival. So I was on my way getting ready to go out there. And she said, hey, she goes, I'm not doing too good right now. She said, can I roll with you? And I was worried about her because I didn't want her like associating with those people out on the carnival, right? Because there's a lot of drugs and dope out there, and I wasn't sure if she was gonna like start messing with it or whatever. I was really kind of concerned for her. And I said, listen, I said, let me figure out exactly what I'm gonna do, because right now I'm not sure. I said, just hit me up in a week, and if you still want to go, let me know. So I go out to California, and then she called me like maybe 2 months later, and she's like, hey, where you at now? I said, I'm in California. And she goes, yeah, I think I want to come out there. And I told her, I said, listen, I said, you're more than welcome to, like, because at that time, I had a van, and then, I drove their truck, and if I wanted to, I could sleep in their truck, but I rather prefer to just sleep in my van. And I said, I'll tell you what, and I said, just think about it, because I told her, like, what's going on out there. I said, I can get you a job out here, no problem, but it's the environment sucks. There's a lot of tweakers out here. It's not the type of, like, environment for a girl, for a lady, whatever. And she goes, come on now, you know me. And yeah, I knew her, and she could take care of herself. And I said, all right, I tell you what, give me, like, because I just had started that job, so I didn't want to start, like, asking my boss, hey, do you mind if my friend comes out here? Do you got a job for her? Could she, like, crash the truck or whatever, blah, blah, blah. So I said, listen, because she would never answer her phone, so she would always have to call me, because, like, if I call her phone, she'd never answer. So I said, hey, call me back, like, Friday. If you're serious, I'll send you out a ticket. Like, I'll send you a bus ticket, and then you can meet us. Because right at that time, I was, like, driving truck. I was, like, going up and down California, and I wasn't sure where I was going to be at. I said, just give me, like, 4 or 5 days, because they're not sure where I'm going to be at. But I want to make sure that when you get off the bus, I can come and pick you up. I don't want you hanging around some city that you don't know. So I said, give me about 4 or 5 days so I can make a plan where I know where I'll be at, so I could buy you a ticket and I can bring you my way. And she never called me back. So I said, okay, maybe she changed her mind. She don't want to come out, whatever, And I want to say a couple years passed. And again, this is a girl, she'll call me when she calls me. And we would, message each other on Messenger every now and then. And so I want to fast forward. I don't remember the year. I'm in Las Vegas. It could have been 2019, 2020. I really don't remember. But I do remember I'm driving down Tropicana, and I had just passed Nellis. So we're on the east side of town. And the speed limit there, about 45. I'm doing 45, 50 miles an hour. And I see Sherry walking with this guy, and she doesn't look good. She looks like very tired, very haggard. You can kind of tell she might look like she was living on the streets. I had to stop myself from smashing on the brakes, because the car in back of me would have crashed right in back of me. I said, oh crap. I yelled her name, and I looked in the rearview mirror, and she kind of was like looking around, and I said, I got to find a place to pull in. So I went like 2 blocks down, and I stopped, made a right, and I turned around, and I came back out to Tropicana, made a left. For the life of me, I could not find her. I said, where the hell did she go? I just seen her. I went to the 7-Eleven. I went to that Carl's Jr. I couldn't find her. I went to the 99. I was like, where the hell is she? I went on her Facebook Messenger, and I sent her a message, and I said, I just seen you walking down Tropicana with some dude. I said, where you at? I said, call me. And she never did. And then fast forward some time later, I'm in Texas, and I'm in Dallas. I'm working for my buddy. He got me a job working at his place. And I'm in the back of my van. I'm right outside of the restaurant. And one of Sherry's sister's friends messaged me on Messenger. She said, hey, did you hear what happened to Sherry? I said, no. I said, oh God, here we go. And she said that she's dead. And I said, what happened? And all she knew was that like she was found like in the Badlands. I think that's what they call it here in Las Vegas. It's basically like an area that would kind of look like that out there, except for there's more trees and stuff. They said that she was found hanging in a tree. And I said, oh my gosh, she killed herself? And she said, nah, they said they think it's an accident because she was in a tree for some unknown reason. And then like when she was coming down, she got caught with her backpack and her arm or something like that, and she suffocated. They said they think it was just an accident. And I just thought that was such a weird way to die like that. It was so weird. That was so weird. And she didn't have a resting place as far as I knew for a while, but they put her next to her mother, so she's up there. That's Sherry Ann Mitchell. That's her name right there. She was cremated and put with her mom. I think her death date is 2017, so she would have been dead for quite some time before I even knew. That is a trip, man. Let me tell you, that is a trip to see her up there like that. It never gets easier when you start watching your friends die, especially like that. And I felt so bad because, you know, I swear, I'm looking at the death date 2017, and that almost looks wrong to me. I'm not saying it is, but I could have sworn I seen her in 2019, but this has been so many years. You know, I get the dates mixed up. It just, because it just seems like when I say 2019, 2020, it just seems like it was like I just seen her. One of the greatest nights of my life was spent laying next to her in her bed. I'll never forget that. I don't think she ever fully understood how much she helped me out that night, because I was very, very depressed. You know I loved you very much, and you helped me out tremendously, because I was, when she said you're not staying by yourself. That was a good girl right there, guys. She had her issues. Yeah, she had her issues. But that she had a heart of gold, and her kids, her kids know if they ever see this, they know that she was a good person, a very, very good person. And you guys, if you guys know me in real life, I don't ever say people are good people, because I just keep it to myself. But she was a very good person, and I swear to God, that death date on her stone, it's almost like it's not real. It's almost like it's 2020 that I seen her. That's not that long ago. So, little hummingbird, there's no nectar in that flower. You're gonna have to look over there. I gotta start carrying hummingbird juice now. I see too many of them when I pass, and it makes me feel bad that I'm not refilling them. So, rest in peace to Sherry and her mother, Carol. That's a good person. I feel bad that I should have just told her to come with me. I was just so worried about her, and I feel bad just telling her, hey, just come on, let's hit the road together. I mean, she was little. She could have fit with me in a minivan, no problem. No problem. It's like sleeping next to nothing because she's so little. And God only knows what happened. You know, they said it was an accident. I don't know. I hope it was. I love you very much, Sherry. Okay, guys. Just a little, I couldn't go to her funeral, but I wanted to give my own sermon and, I don't know, share with you guys the life of a very good person, even though we you know, we weren't joined at the hip and we weren't always together. Just, I want you guys to know, and everybody watching out there know, that she was she helped me out more than she knows. She probably would, if she could hear me right now, she probably would be like, "What are you talking about, dude?" She like, "What are you, dude? What?" She's like always saying, "Dude, juggalo," or she'd be a juggalette. I don't think she liked that term juggalette. I think she was juggalo. But yeah, she loved ICP. I still love ICP. All right, guys, I'm out of here. I'll see you on the next video. Thank you for listening to me just mope. Be good, y'all. Peace out.